All right, so what were we talking about?
We were talking about Adam and Eve, and God has one um, good man in every situation. Like Noah, you said Adam.
Yeah,
You talked about, you know, Lot,
yeah, yeah,
and you were talking about, how women. I say women have a lane. We have our lane. A man has his lane. God is over everything. He's the whole highway and then some. But a lot of women, in my experience, don't have respect for a man in this day and time.
yeah.
They don't want a man to tell them what to do, how to dress, how to this, how to that. They don't want him to be the head or the lead in the home as God set it up to be. And they want to be in large and in charge of everything. And so that's kind of where our conversation has been, talking about relationships, whether it be um, a man and his woman or husband and wife, those type of relationships. And there's not a lot of respect being shown to the man from the women in this day and time.
Mm.
And it's different. I'm 57, so I've been through a minute's worth of life. And back in my younger years, it was getting disrespectful, woman to man, but it's so much worse now. I don't know how people can even stay together the way a lot of the women act. And I'm a woman, and I'm speaking on women.
Yeah.
I see good men out there. There's still good men out there, and whether they're married or single. But the ones who are single are afraid to even think about a relationship on a permanent basis because there's so few spiritually qualified women. What are your thoughts on what I just said?
Well, I feel as though, like they say, nothing new is under the sun. So the same spirits that were operating
Mm-hmm.
against Adam and Eve, are still operating today.
Yes.
Jezebel or whatever you want to call it. So many different spirits and powers and that are operating.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. But one main thing is confusion. I mean, there's so many more spirits other than that. Like I said, Jezebel. But confusion, I think, is one of the first ones. Because if you can confuse somebody, get them off guard, like in a fight, you confuse them and they don't know what's going on, then you can strike, make your move, and then go from there and use other tactics and whatnot. But if you can confuse a man, or let's go back to Eve, you confuse a woman, because maybe she's, the emotional, side of things or whatever it may be, you can trick her into thinking she can do this or that, and then you can get to the man, let's say Adam, the first one created. So obviously maybe he came with certain understandings, maybe that had to be taught to the woman, or God had to instill in the woman through I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But
I like that.
we understand weaker vessel, stronger vessel. I just think it at this day and age it's become disrespectful for a man to be a man, or to a woman to be a woman. They've confused people to making you think that you're weaker or less relevant to this existence, to this world, by being a gender. So they said, excuse the language, but to hell with genders. You can just be whatever you want to be. You can identify as a paperback book if you want to.
Ooh, Jesus.
You can identify as a bottle of mustard, Dijon. So they said let's not even mess around with men. You remember the feminist movement? I don't know, way a long time ago, but it started to kick it up really bad. I would say about maybe in the 90s to early 2000s is where they started up real bad with obviously it started way back in at least America, back in the World War II, 1940s, when the men were away and the women had then they started, doing with the propaganda, women can do the same thing and, whatever. And so sometimes confusion, if you can confuse somebody and tell somebody that they have a problem that they may not have. They don't have a problem, but you tell them, hey, there's something wrong with you. I think you should do this. You get them to be confused and believing in a solution that isn't needed. hey, you need to rise up and get some freedom, get some power as a woman. When really, if you identify as a believer in the Most High, you understand the way the hierarchy goes.
Yes.
I was in the military 4 years, whatever, more Marine Corps, and I know that rank is very important. Military is nothing new. It's not just the Marines, the Army, the Navy. This stuff has been around since the beginning of time. War, armies, rank. There's even rank in the heavens. So there's the same thing in the family. You may not like it. You may disagree with it. You may not want it to be that way. But sometimes things are the way they are. Like there's certain things maybe that I don't want to do. I don't want to pay bills. I don't want to have to go a speed limit. If I know I can go safely faster, I don't want to go So, but there's things we have to do in order. I'm going to stop there. In order.
Yes.
In order for there to be order, there has to be order.
That's right.
So, a woman can fight a man, and I think a lot of it, I don't know everything, but I think we can start chipping away at what has led to that. And the scriptures talk about it, Deuteronomy 28, the blessings and the curses. And so I think that's the origin of why our world is in the shape it's in, because God had a chosen people to purify this place and to make it a holy, and share holiness with the rest of the world.
Yes.
Or those that God saw fit or deserved it. And what happened was those people that got sent with all the extra spiritual tools and the knowledge of everything, the wisdom, everything, we turned our backs on the Most High. So that's why the very same people we were trying to show how to live and how not to live in a heathen manner, they were putting power over us.
Yes.
We don't come from drug infested neighborhoods. We don't come from violence unless it's protecting yourself, but we come from kings and queens. That's what our lineage is. You look through the scriptures, nothing but kings and queens. And you may have people left and right at all levels, but we don't come from garbage. And that's what they want to promote. And that's exactly why we're being attacked at the level that we're being attacked. But at the same time, the Most High allowed it. Now we just have to worry about how are we going to start rebuilding and repairing, because that's what's going to happen. The wheat are being separated from the tares. So we need to stop thinking of how we can get deeper into the confusion and deception, and start realizing how close we are to redemption.
Yes.
It makes no sense to go back to old days where women are fighting against men and men are fighting against women. That's supposed to happen for the 2/3 or for whoever the God judges that way. But for those who are chosen and set apart, there's a better way for us, and it seems like maybe just outside of my circle, I know that I'm not the only one saying this or thinking like this, but maybe we just need it on a bigger scale, because it seems right now that the Satan is really using the woman against the man in every manner, because he knows she has a powerful influence in the family, in the world, even over the man. So if God empowers the man, God is the head of Christ, Christ the head of man, and man is the head of the woman. He knows that the man he can't touch Christ. He can't tempt Christ. He already defeated Satan in death. He can't even come close to the Most High. Right. So who can he attack next? He can attack Adam, just like he did in the garden. And nothing is new under the sun. He's doing the same thing. He's using the woman against the man at the beginning, and now he's doing the same thing at the end.
Yes.
See how everything ties in? It goes from beginning to Alpha and Omega. The Most High knows what he's doing. But just like I've heard elsewhere, and one of the other brothers that I follow, he's saying, not because it's his word, but you can identify the Spirit or the Holy Spirit within somebody else when they're talking. So it's not just a man or a woman speaking out, out of their own opinion, vain opinion. But he's saying we're going to go out the same way we came in. We came in as royalty, as kings and queens, as the apple of the Most High's eye. We're going to go out the same way. And we have an adversary, enemy that wants to stop that.
Yes.
At any means possible. And you have people, oh man, why would they do that? Why would they poison your water? Why would they have a need to steer pop culture and steer society to the point where they're creating a certain type of woman to go against a man, or a certain type of man? With the women, obviously they want to make you feel like you're unempowered and you're not free and you're getting walked on. A lot of women have been done wrong by men, whether it be their own father or a family member or a guy they dated or married. And if the shoe fits, then wear it as best you can. But at the end of the day, our goal is not to suffer. There should be no suffering. That's in a perfect world, but there is, unfortunately. But our goal is not to continue and sustain that suffering. It's to find a solution if we can.
All
So
right.
we can't say, oh, well, I've been done wrong by a man. Let me go take that out on the rest of my community. The rest of every other man has to suffer for what one other man did to me, and vice versa. Man, this lady did me wrong, man, and she dogged me out. You can't put every female into a box, even though it's hard not to.
Yes.
When you look around you, and especially because we're living in the end times, things are worse now than even when they were in the 50s. And I'm not talking about civil rights. That's a whole different ballgame, a whole different conversation. I'm talking about within our own communities here. Women respected a man, and men, hopefully, respected the women. They got to this point, so obviously something fell through.
Yeah.
And like I do feel as though the average man and woman aren't necessarily the ultimate root of the issue. I feel as though it's coming from higher, because only a serpent, a snake, an evil contemplative being or spirit or energy can devise some of these evil plans 50, 60 years in advance, to where you expect it to crumble by 2010, and it's only 1950 something. How do you plan that stuff? Or even hundreds, thousands of years, before. So I do feel as the motive is there. We're dealing with a being or energy, spirit, that hates humanity.
Yes.
It's not coming from the average woman and man. We have our disagreements and struggles and arguments, but to lead to the levels that now there has to be something egging it on, or pushing us to a point where we wouldn't be if it weren't for that extra push.
Yes.
There's more corruption it's always been there. There's nothing new under the sun. It's not like there's more corruption now than there ever was. No, it's just we're exposed to, we're in the age of understanding, the knowledge of, the wisdom of truth. And of course with that, it's going to come stuff that maybe we never heard before, but it's always been there. It's just being exposed more. So me as being a young man, I'm only talking about what I've experienced thus far in my own 26 years of living, and I can't speak for everybody. What I'm saying doesn't apply to everybody. There are families that are still intact, still rolling, still pushing on. But then we have other people, like I said, the shoe fits, wear it. If not, it doesn't apply to you. But some people need to hear it, and some people could utilize the help. Some people could utilize the help and they don't even know it. They don't even believe it. They think they don't need the help. And so I do believe, though, that the start, maybe for the females, for the women, is first you got to realize your power. You got to realize your strength. Because if you're helpless, and you think that you're powerless, and you're voiceless, you're going to act out in defense. You're gonna attack because you're on your last leg. You see yourself up against a wall. Hey, I'm going to lash out. A man tries to tell me what not to wear, I'm going to lash out because you think you're up against a wall. When really, the Most High throughout the scriptures tells us how to dress. And it's not for control. It's not for domination or for disrespect. It's for a whole bigger reason. Because we have spirits that operate. We're not dealing with flesh and blood. Vice versa, we are. Because at the same time, you're dealing with flesh and blood, dealing with lust of the flesh, right? But what's behind that lust of the flesh? It's a whole different energy, a whole different spirit. The real control comes from these demons and demonic forces. They're the ones who want to control you. And it's not your man. If he's a good man, he's not trying not to control you. He actually has some kind of care for you. He's trying to get you away from being a target of lust, being a target for these demons and fallen angels, whatever, to attack you. Through men, through women, whatever. Women are dressing like men, becoming men these days. You can't tell the difference. So,
that's true.
You think inside the box. Not every woman thinks this shallow, but like I said, if the shoe fit. A woman thinks in her head, okay, I make my own money. I drive my own car. I pay my own bills. What do I do different? What does my man do different than I do? I'm coming home from work the same time he's coming home. So yeah, I understand how it's kind of difficult to submit yourself to subjection and submission when you're required to do the same things to survive as a man in this country. That's a huge problem. So I understand that, but at the end